got a little cheesed off, the way they high five after our misses. We were set up one end and where everything was going our way, and then we get a pick and give him an absolute easiest shot for two or something to take control of the game, and they're high fiving after this. So that's a little bit disappointing. Canadians don't do that, and I just don't think the game should be played that way.
Hi, and welcome to The Curling Show, the podcast that brings you interviews with the sport's top athletes and the people who shaped the game. I'm Dean Gemmel, and I'm guessing most fans already know who we spoke to in this edition, a curler with an amazing resume and the willingness to say what's on his mind. Currently number 7 on the Asham World Curling Tour money list, Randy Ferbey. Welcome back to The Curling Show.
Hey, glad to be back, Dean. Thanks a lot.
Hey, let's start with the injury, an Achilles tendon or a heel or something that kept you and, as a result, your team out of the last Capital One Grand Slam event. Apparently, the therapeutic benefits of not doing much have paid off and you're recovered. What was the injury, and is it indeed fully healed?
Well, it was diagnosed as Achilles tendonitis after the Continental Cup. I got back and woke up in the middle of the night with a pretty sore leg and heel, and I couldn't even put an ounce of weight on it. So I went to a couple doctors, and they diagnosed both of them as Achilles tendonitis. They didn't know to what extreme, if it was torn or stretched or whatever, and they just basically said it could be anywhere from 4 to 8 weeks. And I stayed off of it and over that period of time, and I just started throwing here a couple days ago, through a few rocks, and it seems to be okay. So it looks like I'm going to be ready to go to Saskatoon next week here.
Well, that's good news. One story was that you may have hurt yourself while stomping your feet during your cheerleading duties at the Continental Cup. Yet another reason for me to not be a big fan of this event. Hey, apart from the injury, what was your take on it?
Well, you know what? On the Continental Cup?
The Continental Cup, not your injury. What your take on that event?
It's a great event. It just doesn't get enough publicity, for whatever reason. I know most curlers look forward to playing in it or the opportunity to play in it. It is a great event, to be honest with you. It sort of takes the seriousness away from, the day-to-day bonspiels of the year, and, to play with 20 out of 24 other players. It's a great event, and I just wish that more people could experience it, and then they'd understand how good an event it is.
But if you were a fan on television, what would you do to make it more compelling television, television?
You know what? To be honest with you, I haven't...
I'll tell you, it was excruciating.
I think they got to explain it a little bit more, but I know the curlers are into it, and I know it is a little bit confusing. They just got to make it explain the rules to the fans a little bit more, because I know some of them, even in the stands, were confused by what was going on at some times. But overall, the fans did like the opportunity to see curlers playing with women and the hot shots competition. I think it's a great event. I really do.
What would you think about more teams so that you could have 5 sheets going on the last day and more games and more points at stake at the end?
Well, I think it's hard to do something like that, because they're trying to build it up to that one last game, that with all the importance of winning and losing. And I think if you have 5 games going on at the time, you sort of lose that a little bit. So it's hard to get the greatest value, I guess, or determine what the best way to run the event is.
But that would be like the Ryder Cup model, where all the points are in the singles at the end. So then you wouldn't have what happened where it was over on Sunday.
Well, they sort of did have that, Dean. Like in the 30-point game, we have 30-point games, and then the 40-point game, and then the 50-point game which Glenn Howard played in. So it is a build up to the final game. Everybody has an opportunity, to get their team closer. It just happened. The Ryder Cup can get blown out also if everybody wins.
Yeah, it can.
So, it happened this year, I believe, where it was over pretty quick. And, unfortunately for TV, that's exactly what happened this year. But in the last few years, it's been pretty close.
Well, my beef is always I'd rather see you playing than cheering.
Well, we'd all rather play. And we had our opportunity, a few hours earlier or the night before. And it's just unfortunate that we can't have all that TV coverage, which is another...
Right.
Which is another point of interest, I guess you got to say. And why don't we have more TV coverage, And because they missed a lot of excellent games, a lot of excellent shots throughout that 4-day period of time.
All right. Hey, you did provide some drama at the event when you blew up over the conduct of Andy Capp's German rink during an early game. Were you really as ticked off as you seemed?
Well, you know what? Again, we're in the moment. Andy Capp, they're pretty good guys, but I just got a little cheesed off. The way they high five after our misses. We were set up one end and where everything was going our way, and then we get a pick and give him an absolute easiest shot for 2 or something to take control of the game, and they're high-fiving after this. So that's a little bit disappointing. Canadians don't do that, and I just don't think the game should be played that way. He talked about it after. He says, well, that's our psychologist has always said to do this, sports psychologist, give well-wishing, the whole BS thing, I guess you could say. And, they just got to tone it down or know when to do it or when not to do it. I think it's just inappropriate timing that they decided to give the old high fives.
Hey, I'm completely with you on that, actually. I think a high five should be extremely rare in the curling ice, but I don't understand, too. I see a lot of the European teams, they high five even after they miss their own shots and things. I know it's a way of encouragement, but I wouldn't want to play with somebody who did that.
Well, no, that's what Scott Pfeiffer once said. He says, "Boy, if I missed a shot and Randy said good try or good attempt," he says, I think that Randy was starting to lose it a little bit. He says, "No, you got to be intense and you got to realize when you missed a shot and how you missed a shot. You don't need you need positive reinforcement, but not. I don't think that's the right way to do it, to be honest with you."
Andy didn't back down afterwards, of course. Did you speak to him at the event after the incident or since?
I think we just smiled at each other walking down the hallway. We over the years we haven't talked a whole bunch, but we have gotten to know them a bit. We've had a few drinks with them, and they are pretty good guys. Overall, I think it wasn't necessarily blown out of proportion, but I think I got my point across pretty good.
I'll have to be careful because Germany's my biggest European market.
Well, that's all right.
Hey, I'm kidding. What about your team's season so far? Good by most standards, but I'm guessing it's probably not satisfactory for a team like yours?
No, to be honest with you, it's pretty mediocre, and we can't put our fingers on it. We've been close, and at times we've been just awful at the same time also. And so we're hoping to turn it around this, I guess the second half of the season starting next week here. And, we're trying to do the right things that we've done in the past, and it hasn't worked, but we're continuing to work hard, and hopefully it'll pay off in the end here.
Has your team ever been through a stretch like this before?
Probably not. Probably not. Like I said, we've been close. With a shot here or a win here, we would have attained a lot more money on the tour, and we're definitely not happy with that. But at the same time, we've got to continue to work at it. A lot of teams are playing well at the same time, and we've got to figure out what we're doing wrong and try to get back to where we once were.
Hey, let's talk about your favorite curler, Kevin Martin. He's won 5 Grand Slam titles in a row, and some fans sense a feeling of inevitability when he steps onto the ice these days. Is this streak of wins starting to get into the heads of other players?
Possibly. They are playing unbelievable. I mean, people know how well they've played and what they're capable of doing it. To win 5 of these events in a row is unbelievable, and deservedly so. They are an extremely difficult team to play, but Kevin's been a tough team to play over the last 10 years, just not the last 5 Grand Slam events. So when you step on the ice with them, you got to play well. Bottom line, you got to play well, and you got to realize that they're capable of making every shot, and they are making every shot. But everything comes to an end. We've been there. A lot of other teams have been there, and it will. It won't continue. Let's put it this way: they're not going to win 10 or 15 in a row. I hope, and so hopefully we or somebody else can put that streak to an end. But at the same time, they're definitely on a roll. There's no doubt. You got to play well against them.
Do you think teams are playing a little differently against them than they do against other teams? They seem to be really overthinking it at times.
Possibly. I haven't watched other teams play against them, and we've played them 3 times this year or 4 times this year, and I think they've beaten us 3 times or 2 times, something like that. So they are beatable, but again, you're going to have to play extremely well against them. And on slam ice, Kevin Martin just loves that kind of ice. So that's in their favor also. Again, I think the only way you can beat them is you got to play your best, and they got to be a little bit off. That's the bottom line.
Okay, let's finish with a hypothetical here. After we finish this interview, you get an email from the organizers of the next Capital One Grand Slam. It says that in order to create more interest among the fans and the media, they decided to change the format to a winner-take-all event. Kevin Martin says he's in. Well, how do you reply?
Oh, we're in.
You're in, yeah.
Absolutely.
All right.
Let's do it. Absolutely.
We should do at least one event where the winner gets like 90 and the second place gets 10.
You know what? It'd be interesting. I don't know how many teams would sign up for that. I don't know if the 10 to 20 team would sign up or the 5 to 10 teams would sign up for that. But
maybe we only need the top 8 in that one,
That might even be tough getting the top 8. I think
right.
You'd be lucky to get 3, 4 maybe.
All right, here's the other way you do it. You take the guys who won the last 4 slams, so they already have some money in their pocket.
That'll be all Kevin.
That would be Kevin. He's screwing up my plan and everything. Jeez.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyways, I hope this event in Saskatoon goes well. It's going to be, I love to see a good streak, but I also love to see challenge. So it's kind of like, I like to see Tiger Woods win, but I like to see guys challenge him. So.
Well, I think teams have challenged him. I think Kevin's the first one to admit that they've been fortunate in some games. Like against Greg McCauley,
right?
He could have lost that game very easily, and he didn't though. And but when you're playing well, those things sort of happen.
Yep.
And but like I said, they do come to an end.
All right, Randy, we finished with the run back. I give you a topic. You give me your thoughts in 1 to 3 words. The resignation of Paul Boudelier.
Sad.
Pat Ryan as captain at the Continental Cup.
Very good.
Being the 3rd best team in Edmonton, according to current CTRS rankings.
Yikes.
The first Cactus Pheasant Classic in Brooks, Alberta.
Unbelievable.
Colleen Jones on this hour has 22 minutes.
She's good.
Glenn Howard on Little Mosque on the Prairie.
Awful.
Oh, I thought Glenn got ripped for not a bad performance, actually.
I'm just more kidding because he'll probably listen to this and he'll laugh when
I know.
What I said.
Hey, Randy, I give everybody a chance to name their sponsors at the end of the interviews. I know you guys work hard at it, so let me know who's backing you.
We do. As for the last 4 years, the World Financial Group has been outstanding. Prison Flow Products, Continental Stress, JVC, Bell Mobility, and Colgan Water Systems, Asham Curling Supplies, and it goes on and on.
All right, Randy, thanks for your time. Good luck in Saskatoon. I hope the Achilles feels good and it goes well.
Thank you very much, Dean.
That's Randy Ferbey on The Curling Show. With the Capital One Grand Slam Masters of Curling in Saskatoon getting underway next week, followed by the Season of Champions events in Canada, the Men's World Championship in Grand Forks, North Dakota, where I know they'll do a terrific job, and finally the Tylenol Players Championship in April in Newfoundland. It's a great time of year to be a fan of the game. Thanks for listening. Here's Black Pudding.
Don't you know it's hard for me to see things that I cannot find? How can I tell if it's a dream or just all in my mind?